Hello, folks. Welcome to day 5 of mind training and Homa Therapy as we explore Agnihotra, the principles, the practices to support it, as we actually do Agnihotra process that purifies the atmosphere and thereby helps to quiet the mind so we can go deeper within, find peace, and access deeper ways of knowing, connecting, and actualizing our potential. So, we're doing this, celebrating the Equinox, which started last week on Thursday. And we have 2 more days to do it. And in the process, we've gone over some of the principles that support Agnihotra in what's called the Fivefold Path. It starts with Yajna, purification of the atmosphere using fire. Then it's Dāna. Dāna is sharing of assets in the spirit of humility with the foundational assumption that nothing belongs to any of us. We didn't come with anything, we don't leave with anything. It's our responsibility to share. Then there's Tapa. Tapa is self-discipline. Any achievement in life requires some self-discipline. Either I'm going to stop certain behaviors or I'm going to start certain behaviors. But any achievement in life requires some tapa. And we even went over some of the basic 6 desires that sabotage our ability to be disciplined, focused, and thereby sabotage our well-being. And then there's karma. Karma, right thought, right speech, and right action. Just a realization that everything in the universe is interconnected. The universe is very ordered. Whatever we put out, we get back. We put out negativity, we get that back. We put out fear, we get that back. We put out gratitude, we get blessings back. We put out positivity, we get that back. So, right thought, right speech, and right action. And the 5th one was Swadhyaya. Swadhyaya is the process of just assessing where we are. Who am I really? What am I supposed to be doing? What is my mission, my purpose in life? And what's real? What's real? We have a lot of energy coming at us, trying to get us to buy into their definitions of what's real. But all of us have to ultimately answer that for ourselves. And as we went over this process, we talked about, basically, this is about training the mind. Because if we're not training and deliberately and intentionally training our mind, we can bet that our mind is being trained and programmed by external forces that may not have our best interests at heart. So it behooves us to be systematic, consistent, and focused in how we deal with our minds. And we talked about even mindfulness as a way to do that. Again, what you put in is what you get out of the mind. And as much as 95% of the mind in today's world is unconscious. So that's thoughts, experiences, beliefs that we may or may not even be conscious of that affect how we behave. But the more mindful we become, the more we make peace with our minds and go deeper, the more we can intentionally educate and focus our thoughts so that it supports our well-being rather than being programmed to support systemic values and issues like that. So, today's Agnihotra goes at this location at 7:19 and 16 seconds. 7:19 and 16 seconds. So we have about 9 minutes to go before, 16:19, before we actually do Agnihotra. And afterwards, we're going to talk about one of the 7 rules of thumb. The 7 rules of thumb are used in Homa Therapy. Homa Therapy is the application of these principles, techniques, tools for our well-being, whether it's done therapeutic or it's self-care, but it's a methodology for taking care of self. So the first 3 that we went over was no fault finding. No fault finding. It's the process of looking at solutions rather than problems, looking for strengths rather than weaknesses, rather than problems, we're looking for solutions. It's about being positively oriented, not in a way that ignores the challenges, but in a way that instead of looking at staying focused on the challenge or the problems, we're actually looking for the lessons involved so we can evolve with them. So no fault finding. No fault finding is the first one. The second one is discrimination. Discrimination. Holistically discerning and making decisions that support our welfare. Not just using one little part of the brain that counts, measures, categorizes, and judges things, but to use a total brain, a total mind, our hearts, our emotions, and our gut, our intuition, to make holistic decisions that are best for us. And the more we practice, the more we in tune with that, the more synchronicities, validations, affirmations we get from life. Because life is talking to all of us all the time. And when we listen and incorporate the feedback, we grow and become more of ourselves, closer to our divine natures. So that's no fault finding, discrimination. Yesterday we talked about single-pointedness. Just the fact that about focus and concentration. In this life, there's so many things coming at all of us all the time. But the object is to focus on one thing at a time. Because if you focus on all those things, multitasking and whatever, you'll kind of be all over the place. And you'll be on the surface. But to go deeper, where you can really get some understanding, some connection, some guidance from your understanding, that requires that you focus on one thing at a time. And again, it takes practice to train the mind to do that, because most of us are overstimulated and thereby, can easily be influenced and controlled by these external forces. But the more we practice single-pointedness with our deep breathing, with our meditation, with our mindfulness, with our creativity, with reading, whatever, the more we train our minds to be singularly focused. And as I said, today, we're going to go another step, and we're going to talk about one that's, to me, one of the most powerful of the 7 rules of thumb, and that's non-attachment. Non-attachment, Non-attachment is a concept that's, in Hinduism, Buddhism, Taoism, in many Eastern religion and spiritual concepts, it's talked about a lot. we're going to talk about it today and how it applies to us. And again, we're giving all of this to you with the understanding that you'll take what works for you, experiment on your own, and see what value it has. See what value. As Sri Vasant say, be your own scientist. So, we are just about at 7:12, and that gives us about 7 minutes, because we're at 19:16 today. 19:16 today. And if you notice, if you've been on this before, every day it goes back almost just about a minute. Not always a minute, but just about a minute. And the timing will change from location to location. But as I said before, you can get that from agnihotra.org. You can actually put your information in and get your exact timing for your location. Or you can download an app, Agnihotra Buddy, for free, that will give you your location and your timing for Agnihotra. Mm-hmm. As I said before, for those of you who might be new, Agnihotra is not about any religion. It's a scientific process from the Vedas, an Ayurvedic process of purification of the atmosphere, and I've known people of many, many different religions, even people who are atheists, who use this process that will help you be better at whatever you do. Because when you eliminate, reduce pollution, we all are healthier. My analogy, and some of you heard me say it, is we live in a dirty fishbowl. There is so much pollution from industrialization. Certainly affects us physically, but it affects us mentally, emotionally, and even spiritually. This process helps to clean the atmosphere so everything grows better. Plants, produce, animals, children, everything grows better. And there's been a lot of research to document that. So we've got about 5 minutes. And as you can see, we're using dried cow dung. We can either use the thicker pieces or the thinner pieces. And we put cow's ghee, clarified butter from the cow, onto the cow dung. And we're going to offer a couple grains of whole grain rice. Not rice that has been polished or bleached, but whole grain rice. And what I'm going to do after I start the fire, I'll do that now. I'm going to open a door to let out some of the fumes. Okay, so we have about 4 minutes. I think we'll do about 3.5 minutes. And that would give us about 10 more seconds. And again, we're going to sit for a couple minutes in silence after we make the offering. You can pray, meditate, do mantras, affirmations, whatever helps you to go deeper inside, connect with your essence, with the universe, with the divine. following the guidance of be still and know. Put a little bit of E on the rice. The mantra is in Sanskrit, which is nobody's mother language. It's an ancient language that reportedly was heard by seers. And the sound vibrations, everything that is tangible is ultimately energy. And all energy has a sound to it. So these mantras are sound vibrations that activate this process. About 1 minute and 15 seconds. And you're going to hear me when I say swaha, which means offering. That's when I'm going to make the offerings. And then idam namama, which means not my will, but thy will be done. Surrender. Once we make the offering, we don't add anything to the fire. "16 seconds. 10 seconds. Agnaye Swaha, Agnaye Idam Namama, Prajapataye Swaha, Prajapataye Idam Namama. Mm-hmm. So, non-attachment. Non-attachment. What is non-attachment about? Well, in many of the spiritual disciplines of the East, it said, attachment is the primary source of human suffering. It's the primary source of human suffering. It is attachment that facilitates depression and anxiety. Attachment. Attachment to what? Attachment to material possessions. Attachment to thoughts. Attachment to personal issues. So what does that mean? So, I'm only going to be happy if I make a certain amount of money, if I get a certain degree, if I get a certain size house, if my car looks a certain way, or if I have this, get these kind of shoes, that kind of dress. So in those cases, those are material things that my happiness is dependent on. So what does that mean? If those things are not available, then I won't be happy. I'll tell you a secret though. Even if they are available, they only do it for a minute. And then there's always something else to replace them. But it's like there's always something that we're reaching for rather than being satisfied, contented with ourselves. That's material. Thoughts. How are thoughts attached? I'm right. This is the way it is, you know? Being in that dichotomous mindset that, you know, the way I see things is the way it is, and, you know, anything other than that there's something wrong with it. So I get attached to my perception, my thoughts, my way of seeing things, and I'm not really open to feedback from life or from other folks. What about personal? Well, personal can include relationships, you know. So you say, how does attachment work out? Well, you're my mate, and I expect you to be a certain way, and react to me a certain way, treat me a certain way, do certain things, and dot, 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 dot. As Sri Fasant used to say, nothing gets in the way of relationships like expectations. Because, you know, in life, things are continually changing. We change as people. So if I'm really loving and accepting you, I'm accepting that you might see things differently, that you might change, and that I'm open to dealing. But if I'm attached to the way you used to present yourself or the way I perceived you, then that some rigidity can set in and can facilitate conflict. So non-attachment is about being in the present. It's about being open. It's about being flexible, adapting, and adjusting to things on a continual basis. Yeah, you're working toward some things, but your focus is in the present. when you are attached to things, whatever you attach to controls you. We've all heard the saying, the end justifies the means. That's a statement of attachment to outcomes. That's saying whatever I got to do to get that outcome is okay. If I got to lie, cheat, steal, or whatever, long as I get that outcome, I'm okay. Most of us have seen a fair amount of that in our society, if not been involved in that consciously or unconsciously. But again, it never brings lasting happiness, you know, when I am controlled by the outcomes. In this society too, we have such a big emphasis systemically on outcomes. You know, if you're working in human services, how many folks did you see and how many times, and what's the quantitative measure of their growth? If you're a doctor or whatever, like that. As opposed to, my job is to have a healthy, positive, supportive interaction with you, and whatever comes out of that is what comes out of that. To some extent, non-attachment is applied faith to me. It says, look, as long as I do the right thing, do what I'm supposed to do in the moment, it's going to be what it needs to be. Maybe not what I want, desire. It's going to be what it needs to be. And those things are beyond my control. They are beyond my control. My job is to stay grounded in the present, do the best I can, and be accepting of what life gives. I think about all the folks who've gone through these fires out on the West Coast and now down in the Carolinas and like that, and lose their houses and stuff, you know. If you are attached to all of that stuff, I mean, it's devastating either way. But if you're not attached to it, then you say, it's going to be okay. It's going to be what it needs to be. It's going to come back up. But if you attach to it, your world has just gone. Even with people, our loved ones. I mean, it's one of the biggest paradoxes on this planet. None of us came here to stay. And our loved ones, just like us, are going to leave at some point. If we're attached to their physical presence, it can be destabilizing. Now, I mean, you know, we're all going to go through some grief because none of us is all one way or the other. But if you're open to things shifting, which always happens, if you're open to change, which is the main consistent on this planet, then you adapt, you adjust, you shift gears, you receive the feedback and deal with it in the present moment. You receive the feedback and deal with it in the present moment. What kind of things help with that? Help you do that? Of course, meditation, you know, again, calming the mind, grounding in the larger reality that's beyond this three-dimensional world. Mindfulness, again, learning how to focus on one thing at a time and be present in the moment. Mantras, affirmations, you know, I am worthy, I am capable, I can adjust, it's going to be okay. And ethical living, living consistent with your highest values. I'm going to say the ends justify the means is one extreme. But the other end of it is I believe in kindness, or I believe in service. I believe in devotion. So I'm going to do that no matter what happens. And that's going to keep me grounded, focused, living my highest values, as opposed to selling my soul because I'm attached to something. Because when I do that, when I'm living my highest values, I'm saying, whatever universe gives me with that, I'm okay with. I was made me think about Eckhart Tolle was talking about we do better with life when we die before we die. That's to say, we stop being attached to things this life, with the realization that all of this is temporal, with the realization that it's going to change and we're going to leave here, and none of this stuff has supreme value. My money, my investments, my cars, my relationships, all of this at some level is temporal. And when I die to it, as he put it, beforehand, I'm becoming not attached to it. Doesn't mean I don't enjoy it, don't mean I'm not present in it, but it doesn't soak up my attention, my focus, and become priorities in my life. And when that happens, when I'm not attached, I can relate to the larger reality that's beyond this 3D piece, where nothing really ever dies, it just changes form. So I die to this material world and its perspectives, but in the process, I become alive, awake, and interactive with the larger reality, where happiness, joy, satisfaction is not temporal, but it is a grounding force. So, non-attachment is about, it's about letting go. It's about stepping into freedom. Instead of being concerned about my status or about winning, rather than being winning, it's about, let me just enjoy the game. Let me just play a good game, do the best I can. And whoever wins, that's fine. But actually, a lot of times, see, the people who are most proficient at whatever are the ones who are not attached in a way that they can really be totally present in the moment. But when I'm worried about what the score is going to be and how I'm going to look to others and what's going to happen after this and all of that, that's distracting on my energy. Okay? And I can't give my whole self to the process. So to me, mental health is about being capable, able, and active in adapting, adjusting, accepting life. So it's not about being controlled by our attachments, but being fluid, being open, being adaptive, and I will adjust to whatever. Yeah, right now I like being in this house, but if it didn't have this house, I'm going to be okay anyhow. because I'm going to be wherever I am, however I am. I've seen people go to jail, in the hospital, be sick or whatever, and still their light shines. Still the light shines because they are in the moment and they're not attached to their circumstance. They are present in their lives and as such are being fulfilled. So, some of the benefits: non-attachment boosts our well-being, lowers stress, anxiety, and sadness, makes us more emotionally stable. Emotionally stable. So we're not talking about being attached to emotions. When we're not attached to emotions, we can interact with emotions, read them, and respond to them in a more healthy, free, life-supporting way, rather than being overwhelmed, distracted, or controlled by them. So, non-attachment. When I talked about Dāna earlier, sharing of assets in the spirit of humility, Dāna is one way that we facilitate, we enhance our non-attachment, because I'm sharing my resources, I'm sharing my skills, I'm sharing my well-being with others in a responsible way. And that helps me to be less attached and more in the moment. So I'm actually building my non-attachment when I am practicing Dāna. So there's more, but I'm hoping that's enough to get started with. Just think about what you can't live without, what you get rigid or upset about when things change. Those represent your attachments. And when we practice and focus on it and let those things go, it is freeing, it is uplifting, it's gratifying on so many levels. I mean, I think of myself, I'm making a presentation and I'm attached to how people might perceive it. That creates a lot of anxiety. And I'll tell you the truth, a lot of times I'll start that way, but after it gets started, as soon as it gets started and just start flowing with it in the moment, then everything is everything, like that. And again, whether that's playing ball or dancing or being in intimate conversation, with a loved one, same thing. When we get out of our heads, when we get out of trying to make things a certain way and drop our expectations and stop shooting on ourselves. That's another piece that creates a lot of attachment. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. No shooting on yourself. It is what it is. But when we can stop doing those things, we get freed up. We can be more of ourselves in a genuine, healthy way. Be grounded and enjoy life. Relate to our larger reality. So that's non-attachment. Think about it, how it relates to you, what you may be attached to, and even how you might shift some of that, using your mindfulness and your meditation and your focus on your values and learning how to focus in the moment. All of that. Blessings of peace. Have a good evening. Take care of yourself. And we will be back for session number 6 tomorrow. If you have any questions or anything specific you want me to address, just drop it in the chat, and I'll do my best to respond to that. Peace and blessings. Have a good evening.